how I'll give you an opportunity. First of all, thank you very much for coming in, and it's always a pleasure speaking to you. And you've been on other shows, so it's been nice. What opportunity I'm giving you here is that what I've started doing is that asking people to tell me about the conference, because I'm hearing interesting things when people tell me about the conference. So, how would you want to tell me or the world about the conference?
Wow. Like I say, the conference, I mean, you've just done something. I don't understand. You've just done something that's from where you're coming from, it just has to be appreciated. It's something off the hook. You've just hit the mind, because many people will not do this without having some funds being sent to them. You can imagine time out. You just told me a few minutes ago that you've not eaten. And you're still going to, after me, you're still going to have another session. You're just doing something wonderful. I couldn't just hold it back, but, say a big thumbs up to you. The chat I sent to you when I shared with you, you're having over how many weeks? You're going to be doing this on a continual basis. And I'm sure, I don't know how many people have reached out to you to say, okay, Vikram, take this to support what you're doing. This is just it. This is just it for me. Congratulations, Vikram, and well done. Keep it up. God's grace, most importantly.
Perfect. Thank you, Chicho. Okay, these are the nice words of encouragement and appreciation which are required. Well, like you said, look, right from the first, when we spoke long time about funding, I think that is something which what you are doing, I think you're on the right track. Let people fund. I think people who are interested and who want to be part of it, which is what I put out that in my post, I started putting out. Look, send me a gift if you feel, because look, for me, I have to
You
keep
deserve that gift, Vikram. You deserve it.
so,
You deserve it.
I said, but if happens in that direction is damn good. But I realize that's not going to happen. So I'll also create some way that I can balance it out, because I want to create this free resource. I don't want to move away from that, because that is something we have to reach out to every corner. And if you are bringing out these people in the schools, they should have material available to them of the best quality in the world, available to them on YouTube, so that they can watch things which, look, these are the people who we don't know who the next Ken Cloke is. They're all sitting there out there. So if you are connecting people, we should also have resources available for them. So that free resource I still want to create. But at the same time, the time that I spend, definitely, I put out on my website also. I said my wife and daughter, they keep, it's not today, but it's 2 years. Why don't you do your work instead? And I have to, like, how do I explain? Because this work means you're getting money into the bank. That is work. Otherwise, it's not work.
I'm telling you the truth. That is actually what, because if I really, okay, you wouldn't understand my language. I come from, that I'm an Igbo speaking person, and my wife comes from a particular place they call Ohafia in somewhere. And the people normally have a saying. They say, okay, all the work you've been doing, how much is it worth?
Exactly.
That's a particular saying from a particular section in my own state, Abia. He said that they have a saying. He said, all the work you've been doing, how much is it worth? So for you to be doing this at no remuneration, you just have to deserve my congratulations, Vikram. I say big thumbs up to you. God's grace. I wish I could sponsor you, and I'm sure we'll surely sponsor what you're doing before the end of the year. I'm very sure of that. Congratulations, Vikram.
And I'm really happy that you've gone out and said, let's do crowdfunding. But look, what I put out in my post was like crowdfunding only. You put out an official one, okay, do crowdfunding.
But the response hasn't anyway. But I want to believe God that is the only way. Like you said, if people feel enthused, or they feel they can come in and assist. Well, thank God for that. Now that is the only way we can do these things, really.
I
hope that by the grace of God, that people, because this is something we are trying to create for generations to come. Exactly. We want to keep this practice continual. We just don't want it to fizzle out, because we're never going to be here forever.
Yeah, absolutely. What you put into place is something someone else will develop on it, and that will get developed. But at least that seed has to be planted. Someone has to go out and plant those trees. If you're expecting a tree after 40 years, if you don't plant the seed, where is it going to happen? So if you're planting that seed, I'll create a formal structure around it. But first, Chicho, okay, you'll have to just tell us about yourself, and then we'll take it from
Wow. As you already know, you mentioned my name. For other people, my name is Chijoke Nanaibeku. A lawyer, a certified mediator, a counselor, and an author. I've written 2 books and actually published them. One on property management and one on mediation. The one on property management is understanding the basic principles of property management. The other one on mediation is contemporary facets of mediation, different areas of practice in mediation. And as another one in the offing, on or before the end of the year, I shall have it out. That is one that has now taken into consideration my passion, my present passion, which is peer mediation. I'll be through with that book on or before the end of the year. So basically, I have 3 firms. I'm the principal partner of Center for Peer Mediation and Peace Building. The other one, 3Cs Mediators, that is our administrative arm. And the one on the institute, where we want to train people to be certified as mediators and offer membership to people who will take as our associates, our fellows, and members. I'm the principal partner of these 3 firms. And what all these 3 firms are focused on a particular platform. Number 1 is mediation advocacy. The second one is conflict resolution. And the third one is peace building. These are the 3 main thrusts of all what 3Cs is all about. Resolution of conflict. We have created a platform for mediation advocacy and peace building. On these 3 fronts, we intend to thrive and expand our frontiers.
And also that we are going to be discussing mediation in property management on the 25th, which Ijoke has given that topic.
Yeah, I know about that. I will. Yeah. And you'll be so wild, you'll be so carried away by the interrelationship between mediation and property management. That was a particular chapter in that book. But let me not jump there.
Yeah, that will do.
Let me hold on to that day, yes.
But Chijoke, the only thing is we had a discussion on mediation versus peace building. And the peace building activity being a much larger activity, which takes a lot of aspects of it. So if you're getting into peace building, you are going to be doing lots. So that is something which has to happen. But of course, starting point, you've started with the peer mediation aspect of it.
Yes.
Please.
Today's
focus is on the peer mediation. So please. Yeah,
peer mediation.
What does peer mediation mean to you? And then what work you are doing, and let's talk about that.
All right. Thank you very much for that intro, Vikram. Well, peer mediation, like someone else asked me another forum. I think in 2 fora, 1 forum. I can't remember exactly. Why do I have this passion for peer mediation? Like I said, I've written a book and published a book on mediation. And while I was writing that book, it suddenly dawned on me that this book, although it was written in a very, very simple form, but how many of these, who, after we're all long gone, who are the people to carry on with this practice? That was number 1 question. And again, the rate of conflicts in the world, if a 6-year-old person as against a 20-year-old person, we are to, be in an open room and being taught about mediation, about peace building. The one that is much younger, the 6-year-old, if he or she imbibes this practice at an early age, plus or minus, when that person becomes an adult, the person will be better equipped to manage relationships across borders of race, culture, and religion. So that suddenly woke up that passion in me for me to see how to get involved in peer mediation. And of course, I now reached out to the authorities in Nigeria. I stay in Abuja, that's the Federal Capital Territory. I wrote to them and I said, okay, I would like the children to know about this. I'd like to, make out time to teach these children about this. And by extension, other states in Nigeria. And well, they gave me they gave me room for me to introduce it. But unfortunately, like most things in Africa do not go well, even in Asia, I dare say, do not go well as others do in a normal climate. There are a lot of bureaucracies, bottlenecks here and there. I was given the condition that, okay, if I was going to have that approval, that I was going to be the one to fund the feeding of those children, the transportation costs, and also the payment of the coordinators who will handle these programs. Because these people, they are underpaid. I can now take their time extra, and after using their time to impart the knowledge, leave them empty-handed. So I was now faced to provide on 3 fronts. Remember, I said feeding, transportation, and catering of coordinators. In Nigeria, every week I hold this program. I spend 300,000 naira every week. That is conservatively, excluding the cost of fuel.
In dollars.
That
you have to tell us in dollars. How much?
In dollars, that should be $1 now is 600. In dollars, that should be about $500. every week. Plus or minus, that should be $500 every week. That's what I spend to keep that program going. But I was really overwhelmed with great passion and excitement and determination and greater zeal when I reached out to those children and I saw the passion with which they wanted to imbibe this knowledge. So I just told myself, well, what we all come to this world to live in, we all have to have a purpose. Maybe this is my purpose, so why don't I pursue it and have a legacy? And also people who are also interested, why don't we build legacies together that will speak long after we are gone? Because we know you have to think about after, in years to come. So I just started thinking about it and I said, well, let me just give it the best. And I got involved in it. It's not been easy. At times, I'm financially exhausted when I do all this. That's why I told you that thing I told you, that I particularly said, all these things you're doing, how much is it really worth for you? That's why I told you what you said your wife also mentioned to you.
Yeah,
so basically, that is it. That is what we've been through.
If I start calculating the time cost of what I do, I'll be shot dead at home. That's why I don't even talk about it.
You'll be shocked, Vikram. I'm telling you, the thing is tiresome. But what makes me very glad about this is that this mediation drive, this mediation ride has gotten me to what I think I was originally created for. I used to like a lot of academic work, but as a young man growing up, I became a bit lazy in some of the things, or maybe I became overconfident that I had the ability. So I was relaxed and I started seeing some of the negative traits play out. But now all of a sudden, with this mediation work, I'm seeing that innate ability in me being woken up again. I like doing a lot of writing. I like writing, and that has been a passion right from when I was a child. I noticed it. I like doing a lot of writing. I like doing, reading even. But I could be lazy about some of these things. But the reading aspect, knowing, acquiring knowledge has been my determination and zeal. But the challenges of life can make you as a young man, maybe growing up, you could sway a little bit. But we all have our purposes that we'll eventually come to before we are called away from this earth. So maybe I'm not at that point where I have to just realize these potentials. And that is why peer mediation, I'm following with a great passion. If nothing else, like I tell the people, if I don't make all the money, then let me leave a name. I must have either of the two or both. So that is what I'm trying to do. And that's why mediation, we're pursuing it. As you know now,
but to get this point, let me also point out that Chijoke's passion, I've seen, I think, 2 years back, you were trying to, when you called me to discuss mediation with some people.
You've been my friend for over how many years in this? So you know what I'm talking about.
Exactly. When I saw that whatever, look, how many people come into that doesn't matter. The fact is, even if that one person we reach out to, at least that. So I saw that and I really liked the fact that, yes, you were working towards getting people to understand mediation in some way.
And I remain very grateful to you, Vikram, because if I remember, you are amongst my first international contacts for me to preach this message. You are amongst now. You can't believe the network I have. Like I was telling my friends and contemporaries, I said, if you were to count the number of people I know internationally in terms of dollars or naira, I'll be a billionaire by now. If human beings were to be in terms of money, my contacts abroad, I'll be a billionaire by now. The contacts I can just wake up, I just can call them at any moment and they'll be very willing to answer me, all because of mediation. That is a platform mediation has given to me. I might not have all that money, but I've got strong contacts. I can be in Nigeria and tell somebody, meet somebody in India, and once my name is mentioned, it opens a door for that person. I can say, meet Vikram. I'm sure once you hear my name, you know there's a particular Chijoke, the doors will be open to that person. In America, in Brazil, in Malaysia, that is what this mediation has given to me. It has not given me the money, which of course everybody wants, but it has given me that name, and that is one of the things I cherish much. So about this peer mediation, that is what we are trying to do, introduce it. As you see, we've gotten the approval from the federal authorities, over 750 schools. We are now in, as you can see, we're in India with one of your fellow citizens, Sonal. We are in Colombia now. We are looking at getting to Brazil very soon. Argentina is coming on board before the end of the month. I'm holding a meeting with Sabri, a lady that is very prominent in mediation in Argentina. I'll be doing a session with her next week, Friday. So we're expanding these frontiers. We're just going places with it, trying to preach the message that indeed, at this time, the rate of conflict is very high. Yes, you can never have a completely peaceful world, but you can, to a certain extent, reduce it to the barest minimum. And that's what we are trying to see. If these children can imbibe this practice at this very early age, it will be practically impossible if you have 10 children in a room and you're preaching more like, in quotes, you're trying to promote this message. it will be practically impossible that not at least one of them or two will pick up this message and run with it to the very old age and influence in whichever community or country or wherever that person finds him or herself, influence things around that place. And if the person happens to be at the top or becomes the president of a nation tomorrow, then plus or minus you're assured that nation relatively will have some great regard for peace and resolution of conflicts.
But okay, you have to start with the basic. What does peer mediation mean to you?
All right, peer mediation basically is just, in very simple terms, getting children at a very early age to imbibe the knowledge of conflict resolution. Number one. Number two, how these children will manage relationships as adults, from their childhood to adult stage, knowing how to manage relationships across the borders of religion, culture, and race. These are three areas that, if you check very carefully, these are the three areas that give a high rise of conflict in the world. So if children at this early age get to know about this knowledge, then when they grow up, even as children now, and more importantly, when they become adults, you have to a great extent conflict reduce the barest minimum, especially where they are the ones that influence the sphere wherever they find themselves. So peer mediation basically for me is something to just make sure that mediation never fizzles out. The practice of mediation never fizzles out. It's a continuum. It continues as the older ones are going out, another set of people are coming in, taking in from where those ones stopped. Continuing this practice of making sure that conflict is reduced to the barest minimum. That is the simplest definition I can give to it now.
But Chijoke, like when you go out to these schools, so what are you telling them? What is the kind of I don't know, call it a lecture or whatever. Whatever
Okay,
you
good.
want to call it.
Nigeria now, for instance, Nigeria is a very good case study of Nigeria is a very good case study for the practice of mediation, because we have different cultures, different religions. Okay, not more as much as race, but that is different culture and religion has been the opium, has really been the bane of Nigeria. So we are trying to say, okay, particularly when we go to these children, we are trying to tell them the fact that you're Muslim or another person is Christian does not necessarily mean you cannot live in a peaceful society with that person. We are trying to teach those children from this early age, for them to begin to appreciate what puts off the other person, how to fashion whatever statement you want to make to another person, how you communicate. You are trying to build that strong point for them to appreciate basically communication, and how to manage tempers, how to control oneself, how to ask questions, how to react. Because if you have a way of, in short, in summary, communication and management of one's personality. Because if you have these two things well imbibed, you'll be a better human being. Because most answers that get negative replies from people are people that do not put, as mediators, we know we are properly taught how to make sure you communicate. The effective communication is a very key thing in mediation. So if these children can imbibe this practice of knowing how to communicate effectively without putting off the next person whom they are communicating with, then you have little room for conflicts, and you even have little room to say you're resolving any conflict, because it won't have emanated in the first instance. So these are the things we're trying to let these children know: effective communication and personality management.
But this is where I have a problem with the way peer mediation is discussed. This is exactly, these are the things that normally people talk about: communication, non-violent communication, be a better human being. This is where the problem lies for me, because the thing is that mediation as a skill is what we need to be able to put to the children, that you can actually sit together and resolve. There is one person within you who actually has the skill to help you resolve a dispute, which is a step much higher than just, okay, be nice human beings, you should be nice to each other. That's very nice, but that is more about maybe conflict coaching and all that kind of activity. So that should go on. I have no problem with that going on. But whenever we talk about the word mediation and these things, it seems that that skill of a mediator gets lost out. So that is what I want, that people, when they talk about mediation, the actual skill of what a mediator does, these children know about that. The best part is there are already children within these children whom they can identify. So the way I'm going about peer mediation is that ask the children They will tell you, give you the names. These are the children. We have to create that atmosphere in schools that children go to these children and these children help them resolve their dispute. Then they will get that actual feeling of what resolving a dispute by themselves is, because we have to give them that thing. Being good human beings, religion does that, other
Well,
people,
no, I know. I agree. I
families do
agree
that.
completely.
Yeah.
I agree completely with you, Vikram. It's more like saying let's leave the room of theory and come to practical. So imagine there was a particular school I gave an instance. I told them to what they will do really is let's have the most stubborn child in this class. And I told them this program was not, most teachers will want to go for the very intelligent ones. And I told them that this program is not particularly for brilliant students. Yes, a brilliant student is wanted, but I like to have the mix of the brilliant and not so brilliant, the stubborn, different character traits. And I watched one when we had a session, even though we're about commencing, we've just been, introducing, we've not really gone into it fully. But I watched one where we had a case study, they regarded the boy as a very stubborn child. And I could see that character trait in him. His mien even spoke volumes about his character. But I set out a mediation session, a role play kind of. And I could see the excitement. I could see the excitement before his fellow pupils when there was a change. They couldn't believe that this procedure that we are trying to introduce could, change his attitude to work. And you could see this was not orchestrated. This was not stage planned. It was something happened spontaneously. How children behave. It was a spontaneous thing. So they could see, this person has another side of him. I know some of these children, I later found out, some of these children are disturbed from home. Some of them have homes that are not at peace. So when the child comes to school, he's carrying a burden he can't even carry at that early age. So where does he transfer that burden, that annoyance, all that venom in him? It's to the other children. So he becomes a bully. But if you check and ask, try with active listening, you listen to that child particularly, you'll be amazed to know that this child is just an innocent child, that if with extra love and attention and care, you can actually make that child retrace his step. So we're doing, like, if I can understand you correctly, we are getting to the practical stage. And I agree with you completely that the practical stage is what is actually needed to overcome this.
What I'm saying is that because the kind of person you are, you're telling them to be good human beings.
No, it doesn't only stop at that.
No, that's a good thing. That's a very good thing. You have to do that.
Yeah. But it doesn't stop at that only.
No,
it doesn't have to stop at that. You have to make it a practical thing.
No, what you have to do for me right now, because look, this is an activity that you're doing. What you do, just whenever you go to these schools, just ask these children, is there some child that you know who helps children resolve their disputes? They'll give you some names. Give me those children. I will take them to the as the mediators.
If you notice what I told you earlier, I asked them. I said I do not want children that are only very brilliant. You notice, a very thing about, a very particular thing about children. Children that are very brilliant in schools normally have a greater number of friends around them. They influence decisions. People that are more brilliant in classes, they're the ones that kind of lead in the class. So they're like role models. They're people that people want to listen to. They're the ones that are also very strong, that can defend those of them who might be weak in terms of when they want to get into fisticuffs or fighting. Those ones are also regarded as being up top there. So if you have these different characters, tell them, okay, let me have these children. And that is what we worked out. And we hope to, once we get the funds, we hope to be back on the field on the 30th of this month. And I'll send you one of those videos for you to know and say that what you said has been taken into consideration.
Yeah, because I'll tell you how I'm going about it. For me, the point is that these people, not just in schools and communities, everywhere, these people are there who have that natural skill. We just have to ask the people.
Inborn, innate in them. I agree completely. Exactly. I agree. There are children who are just born leaders. I agree.
Yeah. Now, only thing is to be able to identify them. And the best people to identify them are the children themselves. So
yes, that's true.
So that's the only question I ask them. First, of course, I tell them about mediation, because being a technical world, they should not feel it's some alien rocket science that you're talking about. What is it? So simple that someone assists you in resolving a dispute but doesn't have the authority to impose a solution on you. That's how simple I put it. That's it, and nothing else to it. And then ask them that, is there someone that you know who does this? And they give names. And these are the children I want to take forward, and then the skill development that is required. And as they go, maybe one is in the school, then they are the ones who are going to be part of the community. Then they will take it to the community, and that's the way I want to grow it. That these the people who have
That's
that natural
interesting. I
ability.
like that. I like that model. That's interesting. That's very dry. I also have it in my model. That's interesting. I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Yeah, because the people
I
who
do.
have the mediator mindset, let's at least pick them up. They're all out there. And I'm saying not just in schools, let's do this in communities also, which is what I am.
If you recall our last interview, I told you that yes, everybody can be in the practice of mediation, but there's something I call it the mediation gravitas. There are people who have that innate ability, who were born for it. So there are people without sounding like a broken record. There are people who are actually marked out for it. It's just inborn. It's just for them to polish it, hone that skill a little bit, and take it to the maximum, to the zenith. So I agree with you wholeheartedly. There are people who have these skills.
Okay,
Practically inborn.
You use the word gravitas, and when I look at the meaning of gravitas, I will not fall into that. I keep saying I don't have gravitas. Look, gravitas meaning is seriousness and that whole solemn way of going about it. I will never have that. So I say I don't have gravitas. I tell people that we have a very senior mediator here.
But let me now bring it. Okay, more like that people who have the mediation touch.
Okay, yeah,
that touch, that mild touch, that mediation touch.
Yeah. What I say, I mean, I use the word, of course, mediator mindset. All I say, otherwise you can say they have the seed. They have the seed. Then we'll help them grow that seed. Not a problem. But we have to find the people with that seed. So that's what I'm saying. You just ask them that question. You are doing you can give those children to me. I will take them into the fold and I will take them forward.
No, we are doing that. We're not giving up. It's a passion and it's a continuum. We're not giving up. We are needs and we are already on it. Funds or no funds, we must find a way around it.
Exactly.
But I believe the funds will come.
No, one of those messages that you had put out quite some time back, and I'd written a reply saying that, look, we have to do what we have to do.
Simple.
Funds come in. It might be a slower process. But we should not.
It is actually, but we'll get there. We'll get there, Vikram.
Yeah,
we'll get there.
Because look, there are not so many people who are out there doing so much work. Of course, you're out there. At least you've spoken to the authorities. You're going to schools. How many people end up doing that? Well, a lot of people talk about it. So you're doing that. Okay, I can understand that you might not be able to cover as many as you want to. Maybe it'll be slow, but at least you started the process. People are going to talk about it. At least that word will go out.
Yeah, at the rate I'm going, like if it's equal to what you're saying, I might not be at the rate I'm going. For me to cover only one city in Nigeria, that is the federal. At the rate I'm going now. If I don't have the funds coming in, I will cover all these schools in 5 years' time.
I know the huge number of schools.
But if I had the funds, if the funds were available, these things can be done in less than 2 years. Almost 1,000 schools can be covered in less than 2 years. All it needs from me will be for me to exact more force and train more people to follow me, devote more time and train more people.
It all falls
train more people and pay more people, because you cannot, it's not everybody that will have the mindset to follow you for almost 6 hours in a day and you're just telling him thank you or her thank you. Not many people buy into that in this part of our world.
Absolutely, it's all fallen to play. But I was one, of course, like I said, identifying those with the mediator mindset. Then the other thing is to be able to create that atmosphere amongst the teachers and the principal that, look, this is the children's process. Let them do it. They have to learn how to resolve the disputes.
That is our aim. That is our once because we've trained the coordinators. We've trained the coordinators about this program. We've talked to the children. And remember, I've broken these things in schools, different schools. I'm not going to be in a particular school for more than a month or tops 2 months. So when I leave the school in the next 2, if I finish a particular school, I'm not going to be the one. They will not be the ones to practicalize what they've learned. They'll practicalize what they've learned with the coordinator just supervising. Then when I now come back again, maybe the 3rd month to see what they've done, I should be able to understand that. I should be able to understand that these children have done something. I should be able to understand that these children have done something worthwhile for us to know that, yes, we actually made a success in this particular school.
Because that's where the issues lie. I don't know if you remember that when we having that in conversation with Beautiful Mind, your son came in and I asked your son that if there is a fight, will
I
you help
remember.
your friend? And your son
I
said, "No,
remember.
I
I
will not."
remember. I
He said,
vividly. I remember that
he
vividly.
says, "I won't help them because my teacher won't like it." So I think we have to be able to create that atmosphere where the teachers are told, "Look, please." Let them identify their mediators, let them do the process, because that, again, I was telling you, this is the colonization mindset, that the authority will tell you whom to go to, the authority will be some way connected to it. If we have to move them out of that, and then when they go into society, in the communities and workplaces, they'll at least understand that, look, we can sit and resolve our dispute. We don't need anyone else to tell us whom to go to. It is our process, it's our dispute, it's our mediator. I want to have they give that feeling of ownership of the entire process with the children. So that is the kind of atmosphere that needs
That
to
is
be
our goal,
created.
Prikram. That is the goal. That is the in short. In fact, you've taken the words out of my mouth. That is the goal of this program: getting these children to be able to manage these issues on their own, because you're not going to be there with them forever. So once they're going to get to this age where we are as adults, you won't be there supervising them, will you? Even if you're the person's child, at a certain age, the person gets and he's on his own, his or her own. So we're getting these children to appreciate this thing at this early age, and from there we know what they are doing.
Yeah, because basically it's the matter of sensitizing the teachers and the principal or whoever else is involved, all the authority figures, to sensitize them that what you're doing is actually setting a kind of a base for society in general, where people can sit together and resolve the dispute. So we're setting
Yeah,
that kind of an atmosphere, and they should be able
that is
to
what
do
we're
it.
doing. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So I think
Yeah.
that's a very nice. So what has been the experience now? You've gone out and you've gone to the schools. So what has been the feedback?
Well, the feedback has been very positive. Like you say, we've started seeing children. Another thing that I've noticed about the great advantage of this peer mediation, it broadens the children's horizons. They tend to perform better academically because they are now expanding their thinking faculties. They are expanding their brains. They are beginning to take issues on hand, and it's beginning to make them mature faster. So that made me feel happy with a reaction. If some of the videos you watched, there was a little boy as I think it's amongst the videos I've posted, a boy that was as young as 7 years. You could see the boldness in which he answered me when I asked him, what is all this about? What would you do if you had this particular issue? And I was so impressed. And maybe I'll send you the video to you. He's a 7-year-old boy. I think he was one of the councils, because we have councils like local, area councils. One of them in Abuja is a local government, where one school there. And the boy is just 7 years old. I was impressed with the way he answered me. He was very bold, and he was concise. He knew what he wanted. Well, he knew the answer I wanted. And I was impressed. So we are having positive feedbacks of children really wanting to imbibe this practice. And for whatever is worth, being encouraged to take up this profession when they grow up. Because another thing, children too, because I come with the goodies, I come with something for them to eat and drink. So they're always wanting to know when I'm going to come next. In fact, their teachers, you can ask that, they can tell them, oh, when is that uncle coming again? So you have to have a way to hold these children's attraction. What do I come in? I come with some food for them to eat, an extra meal that day. So they're excited. So they're not just going to be talking to me on an empty tummy. They're engaged both in their brains and their tummy and their mouth. So you see, I can have the best out of them that particular time.
But only thing what you Chijoke use the word, you said that they should take it up as a profession. Now, just before your session, we had a discussion on whether this is a profession or not. So
It
please,
is a profession.
yeah, no, wait, no, I won't get into it because there was a whole session. But please watch that, because there's one person from I think Kaduna State, Nanchang is there. He spoke very nicely. You listen to him. It was more like a speech that he gave. So nicely he put it. I would want you to listen to it. It really, I mean, really, the way I've been talking about it. He said all those things, that these people are out there. They have the natural ability, and they will never ever be able to go for the qualifications and certifications. And this is where the root lies, in the villages and all that. Very nicely put it. So please have a look at that, because it's very nicely put out there, that profession. But what goes into a profession? Because I tell you, two parts of it. One, of course, the aspect of them having the natural ability sometimes gets sidelined, and qualification takes the focus. And this is a very different activity. So that's, I mean, I feel that's one important part. The other thing, we have to, if you have to show it in terms of the paid aspect of it, because the children also want to see if you like you're saying, if they should take it up as a long-term basis, what are you going to show them in terms of remuneration? I was talking about it in that in Nigeria, in Nigeria, I'm telling you, in Nigeria, your
Oh, you
Lagos.
look, Vikram, you're more like you're not cosmopolitan. You know everything that happens everywhere. You know the pressure that I am passing through with this program. That person has just spoken their mind. I've been diplomatic with telling you the person knows that it's not easy to have this. A profession is meant to give you food on your table. I thank God for my investments, the little investments I've made here and there. And that is what is sustaining this. If it were amazing, but don't get it wrong, Vikram. There are some people, some mediators. Well, the only thing is that they are lawyers. They've been in this practice for a longer time, who have made enough remuneration. They've had a lot of consideration from the practice of mediation. But we're talking about on the average, many people have not yet eked a living completely from this practice.
Exactly. This is what I keep discussing. But look,
but it's an emerging practice, and you have to be dynamic about it. And I keep telling people that you have to think out. That's one of the traits of a mediator. You have to think out of the box. If I was doing what other mediators are doing, if I did not carve this niche, I'm the pioneer of this program in Africa and in Nigeria. I'm the pioneer of the program of peer mediation in Nigeria and Africa. If I did not carve this niche for myself, I might not have gotten so much attention I'm getting about. So you have to be innovative. You need to know how to think out of the box to see what you will do that will bring you some little penny from, even if not millions of dollars, even some little dollars at least, for you to know what you're doing.
No, Jojo, the thing is that because finally, if you have to show this as a path, one is, okay, you're a nice human being and you're helping people, very nice. Okay, you wear some white robes or saffron robes or green robes and roam around, a very nice thing. Okay, I'm nice. we are not going to be able to tell the children that. So on the other end, you have to show them a path because obviously that path has to be shown. So I keep telling people, say the Lagos multi-door courthouse. But you are frozen right now, so I don't know whether you're listening to me. Yes, okay. Are you there? Yes, you got cut off in the middle. So what I'm saying is, if I have to show them a path in Nigeria, let's look at Nigeria. So I tell them, look, there is this Lagos multi-door courthouse. It has mediation. What will you get out of it? $40 for the entire mediation. And but in the Lagos multi-door courthouse, these are these lawyers who are into litigation. They can take thousands of dollars. Which one will you choose? Here you have to wear.
If you remember vividly, Vikram, I told you something. If you remember at the initial stage of our today's discussion, I told you that I had made up my mind. If I was not going to get the money from mediation, at least I'll get the name. And my people, I'm Igbo by tribe. My people have been saying that the human being, a human being is a bigger resource than money. A human being, paraphrasing, a human being is a bigger resource than money. Money is good, but a human being is a bigger resource than money, because the contacts you may have, if the contacts understand what you're doing and they decide to assist you, they could give you much more than what the money you might. You can imagine if I have a lot of, like I already have international contacts that I do. If I was to come to the US tomorrow, I might be lucky not to spend my dime with my contacts abroad.
Okay, only thing, okay, Chijoke, there is a comment by Judge Halim. He's saying, friend, you are speaking so fast. So I don't know whether he's talking to me or he's talking to you. So I think both of us.
I think I'm the one he's talking to. I have that problem at times.
Let's tell him, Judge Halim, please put down there. Whom are you talking about? Me or Chijoke?
It must be me.
Okay. So I think the path we have to show them, because finally, if these people are not out there on a daily basis being mediators, society is losing out on these people. So we have to show them the path. We have to create it. If that even means that we have to fight authority to say, look, give mediators the level playing field. You can't discriminate. You can't say that like I told you, in the Lagos multi-door courthouse, you will decide what this mediator will get, but the lawyer can charge what they want. Let's not do that. Because look, Chijoke is out there. He's creating that awareness. Children are going to now, the children who are really interested in it, these people will only want to do this because obviously that's their mindset. So if they are not shown that path and not given a level playing field, then things just then fall. For what are we then doing it for? Are we just going out and telling them this is a good thing and they can't use it? So I think that also starts moving with it. So when you say peace building, for me, peace building is a larger activity where policies have to be put in place, all those things. So this is one aspect of it, I think, to put in the right policies so that the first aspect of how dispute resolution happens, there is some basic structure available that people take to this path. Because
As a, as a build up to what you just said, like that's why I said thumbs up to you for what you're doing. There's nothing that stops the network of mediators. For instance, there's nothing that stops the network of mediators to create a platform for mediation consultancy. For instance, if like I have an institute, my institute will soon commence. We're going to start our first set of training sometime, if not at the end of this month, sometime first week of July. So nothing stops me from saying Vikram is my friend. He's versed in this facet of mediation. Vikram, for your 1 hour or 2 hours, you're going to spend lecturing my participants who want to be mediators. I'm going to pay you $20 or $30. If you do that session in a year, because we're going to have that program for like four times in a year or 5 times in a year, you plus or minus, you'll be making almost, I'm just giving, on an average, you should make over almost $1,000. And if you make that from me and you make that from 10 other mediators, that is why what you're doing to me is a great fit. And if the mediators can build into what you're present, the platform you've created, we can network to such in a way to provide platforms for mediators who have shown that they have the competence, the expertise to handle matters, to do things beyond where they are internationally and gain rewards for what they're doing. Then if we do that, you will see that people will have the confidence to want to practice this. For instance, the children now, when some of them, when like one of them, a feedback, one of them, I think his father or mother checked my profile on Facebook, which is very common. Most people are on Facebook, not LinkedIn as such, except a professional. And the child was, oh, look at that uncle that used to come here. And the child was, oh, look at the uncle, look at the lot of white people he knows. Oh, I want to be like him. Feeling that I had so much money in my pocket that, that's an excitement. It might not be reality for him, but that's the excitement he has, that there's a room for him to meet all these people. Like when I was, the particular class we were holding, the lady, the American contact of mine, and your another person from your place, Sonal, and the children were excited. They were seeing people they had not seen within their environment. So as a child, you'll be excited to want to do what this uncle is doing, let alone the money. But now, what we are doing now, if we begin to say, oh, like I've told you, the institute is going to start very soon. You can see some of the collaborations I'm reaching out with people. There are some collaborations I'm building up. I posted it. So if those people come and say, okay, Chijoke, why don't you take up a mediation consultancy with our firm, as I do same for them? Why would I complain about the practice of mediation, Vikram? If I have 5 people do that for me in a year, more like a retainership, why would I complain? It will be worth my while. Don't you think so?
No, look, why I'm talking about these policies in places only because on large,
we have to defeat those policies. You have to make a way out of those policies.
Yeah, no, you'll have to influence those policies. That's what I'm
Good.
trying to say.
Yeah.
So that activity also you should put into place right now itself, because finally we want them to practice and make money out of it, and this should be their full-time. I'm not saying profession. I'm still going to use other words. Is it occupation?
I call it profession, Vikram. You have your choice of words. I want to call it my profession.
No, you will watch the last session, because this is all we discussed. Whatever name we want to give it. Finally, we want them to be doing that full time. I'll give you an example. There was some mediator in India some lawyers got together, created a mediation center. It was doing well. And then the city got a mediation center in the court. All the work went. They had to close the mediation center down. So we have to, at this stage itself, go out and tell the government, the judiciary, let mediation develop. Don't cut it. Don't cut it at its basic foundation, because we want all these people to be practicing. We want these. You can go say that look, I'm working with children. I want to show them a path. I want to show them, look, in the court system, I don't want it in the court system, but even if in the court system, you can get this as a mediator, and you get the same as a lawyer. So you can choose your path. So that is the kind
or you can even choose both. You can be
No,
both.
I don't want them to be litigating lawyers. The one with the mediator mindset, I'm telling you, they don't want. It's frustrating for them. They want to reach out to the other side. They don't want to say, like, that's the way I practiced my law. I was like, come on, why are you doing this? Let's just work this out. So that is the mindset, that if the person has that mindset, let them practice that. So create the whole environment around it. So I think that's also, I feel, an important aspect of the developing peer mediation, to show them the path. Because I really feel that that part of it becomes a problem if that today that question is not being asked for you, because you are just going out and telling them the basics. But later, when you start saying you should be looking at this as your occupation, they'll ask you, show us the path. And what will you show them then?
Okay.
Okay.
To digress a little bit, I had a session with the students from India, some Indians also there. Association for Law, they call it ALSA International. ALSA International. In fact, I have a retainership with them for some time. And one of them asked me a very interesting question. He told me, okay, like what's my view about this particular question I'm going to put forward now? He asked me, he said, in law, you have case studies, you have precedents you can rely on. Like, if you want to know, what do you rely on in mediation? So I now told him, basically, that's a very interesting question. From my own humble view, what you rely on in mediation is just experience and materials. And there and then I was thinking I did not give the right answer exactly. But when I had the opportunity and privilege, as I normally do with Ken Cloke, he agreed with me that what I actually told him was the right thing. So there's always it's an interesting practice. It's an interesting profession for me. And unfortunately for those of us who I keep using, that is the reality. We have to be truthful to ourselves. For those of us who are in emerging countries, Africa, Asia, as you are, some of these things are not done rightly. The bottlenecks, the bureaucratic bottlenecks are so fixated, as if they're made on rock. And people know that these things can be changed, but for whatever reason, they try to be obstinate about it.
That's
The reality on ground, as it is that mediation is now a very key component of dispute resolution. But sooner than later, for me, I believe it's no longer going to be enough. It's going to be the main trust. People have less the disposal of cash. The rate at which cash can be disposed now is so tight. The world is facing a lot of uncertainties. Why would I want to employ a means of settling my disputes that is very expensive if I can get that dispute resolved at a very cost effective? No, everybody is thinking wisely. You have to think of how to make sure that you don't spend out of the ordinary, you don't spend out of budget. So if mediation can give you that alternative and give you that platform, why don't you exhaust it and follow it? Why don't you make sure that the person who is creating that expertise is rewarded considerably? So it's just what our people have that negative mindset, not trying to allow the change that is constant to come into play. Yeah. And that is an unfortunate situation, but we have to keep trudging.
Only thing, what I did not like what you said was that I'm in Asia. I am in Nigeria right now. How am I in Asia? I'm in your living room right now. How did you even say that?
Okay, I beg your pardon. You're in Nigeria right now. You're with me in my office.
Exactly.
You're sitting opposite me in the office.
Now you just thrown me out. You said go get out.
You're just sitting opposite me in my office chair now.
No, but look, I'm telling you, all those things that we talk about around it, whatever issues that are there, also need to be addressed at the same time, because valuing mediators, society valuing mediators, we have to create that whole atmosphere around it. Because for me, I always hit the court system and I say, look, they will value it because on that basis, because that's the only place they have a value on mediation. Because otherwise, mediation is happening all the time. It could be in communities, families, everywhere. But those people are not being paid anything. So those people, definitely you can't say what is the value of this. So where do you go? Only place they'll find it is in the court system. Oh, in that courthouse, $40 is what a mediator gets. That's what we should give you. So whole concept of valuing goes wrong. So we have to be able to fight that. Yes, that look, that's not the correct approach. You can't, people who can pay, let them pay the market value. There has to be a market value. Market should decide. And then I'm saying the path that children will see. So then that whole thing, why I'm putting it in relation to peer mediation is only because if you want to say profession right now, because I am, of course, I'm still going to say that, have a look at that session, whatever name you want to give it. But for
I
anything
will
that
look at it.
you have to show them a path. I mean, I'm repeating path so many times because I know that one is a general conversation about mediation, and one is the aspect of developing mediation. It's a nice thing; they'll all become good human beings, I'm sure. But when the dispute resolution happens, those people with that skill will go into something else. They'll be doing
You
something
know
else. They won't be available to
what
society.
what we are doing presently, we're already influencing it. What you're doing now, what I'm doing, and what other mediators are doing, we're already doing it. We are doing it. The mediation advocacy we are doing is creating a lot of awareness. And sooner than later, the value will come to play. And as I talk to you, as hard as it may sound, there are people who are making a lot of money from the practice of mediation.
Oh, yeah.
No, yeah. The only problem is that for us now that are in Africa, for you in India, I don't know how that it might not be so viable. But for those of them in America, I have some partners there, some resource team members, and I can have a feel of what they are doing. So what we are doing in our own little spaces and humble spaces, more like we're already doing that. We are creating that value. I dare say that it cannot, the value of a mediator today, I dare say, it will not be the same in the next 3-4 years in Nigeria. There'll be such an awareness that the mediator will almost not, of course, we're not, remember, the advantage of mediation is not about cost. So we're never going to ever earn as much as a litigation lawyer earns. But we're going to earn enough to have something to make sure that we are comfortable, we can meet our needs, and meet other people who will desire to help as mediators. That much I can assure you.
No, Chudek, what I'm thinking is that's always, because whenever mediation is discussed, this aspect comes out that it is cheap and, like you just said, not as much as a litigating lawyer. I think that we should maybe move away from that and saying, look, if this person can help you resolve the dispute, you put a value to it. I mean, the person says so much and the person delivers. Why should you not pay them more than the litigating lawyer? Because this is final. No, I'll tell you why.
I differ in that. I differ from your opinion, Vikram, with much respect. I, for one, feel that yes, there should be some value, but for you to have an alternative, it has to it has to come at a considerably reasonable fee to the person. For instance, if I were to litigate over a matter at $1,000, for me as a mediator, I'll say, okay, they're paying $1,000 to a lawyer who will litigate. Why don't you pay me $600 or $700 as a mediator to do that same matter speedily? That makes more sense. That for me, I hold a different opinion for you. I feel, yes, I agree as much as there must be value, but I don't think it should be at the same equal length with litigation. That's my humble view. I may be wrong.
No, what I'm trying to say is that doesn't need to be any comparison there, because
we shouldn't even use the word cheap.
It's a different. It's like
that word cheap. That word cheap shouldn't even come into play.
Because I'm saying that these are different processes, different ways of trying to reach a certain one. In one end, it's a settlement of your choosing. The other is that is pushed on you, whatever system you want to follow. At the end of the day, they're different processes. So don't compare the two. The only way that what has happened is only because of the court system, that connection between litigation and mediation has been made. I want that whole connection to break. These are different process. This is a different method of dispute resolution. And like I keep saying, that the colonization concept that every dispute resolution has to happen in courts. And lawyers have to be part of that.
To that extent, I agree with you.
Yeah, we have to just remove it from their mind.
I agree. I agree.
And look, I'll tell you different. I'll tell you okay. The thing is that you have a certain value for your time. You will put that value. Because you will balance it out. Here you are promoting peer mediation. You want to practice as a mediator. You want to do other activities. That is it's you as an individual. How much time you want to give to actually being a mediator is up to you. So what value you put to it, how much you want to earn out of it, is totally yours choosing. So you put whatever value. You say, look, I only want it, doesn't matter. But to compare it with another process where obviously we don't even know, I mean, how much time it takes, what appeals have to happen. You are selling the point that, look, my expertise has helped people to resolve disputes, which is a final settlement. No appeals, nothing. This is the end. Put value to all that. So I'm just saying that I'm trying to put people out of that discussion totally. You want to go there, that's your route. You go with the let's not say to the devil. I won't say that.
like what you are saying initially, there has to be even there are some of us who are overwhelmed with the mediation mindset. There was a particular resource member of mine. She misunderstood what I was writing about. I was
You got disconnected for a minute. You were saying?
Yeah, okay. And as a particular person, I was telling that when we start admitting participants, I would like to make some reasonable consideration to them. And she, apparently thinking I was talking about a peer mediation, said, no, I just want it to be voluntary. So most of us as mediators, when money is mentioned, they might not really reduce it to the context of what you're saying. And I was trying to say, across the globe is a norm, is a practice that if somebody is holding a class in Nigeria and I have you come in, I should be able to say, Vikram, for your data, I should give some value. I might not give you as much as what is expected, but some little value. So like you said, I agree with you. We need to build that mindset to accommodate our value and make this profession, I insist, a profession worthwhile.
Because I tell you, it's the person's time. Now, say if you look at Ken Cloke. Now, if we want Ken Cloke to be actually looking at disputes at a different level, I mean, you have global disputes, you have that level. So for that kind of dispute, what value do you put to that? If you can actually help, say, two countries to be able to resolve a dispute, how do you put value to that? This person's, you have to put it now. What do you compare it to? So it's not, I mean, it's just a matter. Don't even put anything, say, oh, compare it to this or compare it to that. Just value the individual for what the individual brings in. So that's the way I'm trying to put it out.
Yeah.
Because I mean, how do you even compare with anything? There's no comparison. It's just
totally. Well, you're doing a great job, Vikram. Thank you for hosting me today. I look forward to our next session.
Yes, absolutely.
Like I said, I'm sure that there's no how before your session ends, I must contribute my whatever is what. I must support you in a way because what you're doing is worthwhile and, it deserves commendation. Thumbs up, Vikram. Thank you very much for bringing mediators all together in one place. God bless you a great deal.
Thank you very much. And like I said, I loved your passion right 2 years back when you approached me, when you said,
thank you for that.
To do this. So I think that's what we need. Just the fact that passion, direction will come, everything will happen. But the first thing is that seed of passion there. So thank you very much, okay? And we'll
thank you, Vikram. Thank you very much. Greetings to your family. Thank you very much.
You too, yeah. You too. See you. Bye. Thank you.
Goodbye, my friend.